Alright, welcome to round 12 of the FRL Division 2 Championship. Here we are at a modern classic, the Circuit of the Americas in, well, the USA. We're going to be getting ready for an exciting race, but first we have a qualifying session where Phil Musser has been disqualified for going the wrong way. Well, that is pretty distressing for him. He's completely out. But meanwhile, we have Alan B. Crazy running on a flying lap. And we have most of the field out on track doing the same. And interestingly enough, Debbie is out on intermediate tires. My only guess is that he's practicing. But I mean, if so, why wouldn't he just use SS soft tires? Because this is short quality. So you'll be able to use a whole lot of tires here and get away with it no problem. But we already have a couple of times stacking up. Kirito leads Zeech in the timetables at the moment, but a few more are going to be joining them. Watertoast at the moment, he's just invalidating laps, and I think he's doing it intentionally because he does have a qualifying ban. So, I hope, yeah, he's doing this intentionally. That's why he went wide there. He's just doing this for the sake of practicing, really. Meanwhile, looks like LB Crazy had a struggle lap. He's going to make his way back into the pits. Kermit is getting a lap underway, as well as Big Cheese getting ready to finish up a lap, it looks like, and it's a solid time. He's going to be able to put himself fourth on the timetable, but his teammate beats him by a few hundredths. Meanwhile, we have Sancho in the Williams making his way around, getting ready to finish up a lap. DK crosses the line and is currently at the bottom of the completed laps. Sancho getting across the line. Where is he going to place that Williams? Oh, he's going to be quite far behind, putting himself now at the bottom. As Curly Deadhead just gets ahead of him. Meanwhile, we have Vaney, who, if I'm correct, this is his debut race, so he's going to have some pretty high expectations, considering he's immediately going to be placed into Div 2. So, we'll see what he can do. Radioactive, meanwhile, is getting his lap started and is off to a pretty solid effort right now. Fred is going on an out lap, as well as Fred, and it looks like he's a little bit further ahead of Fred in that regard. And while we're here taking a look at a track, let's take a little bit of a guide of it. So, here we are at the Circuit of the Americas. As I said before, it's really become a modern classic, a very popular circuit, which has 20 corners to make your way around, and 2 DRS zones, one down the pit straight, the other down the long back straight that the two Hasses are making their way down right now. You can see the DRS wing wide open. This track, it honestly has plenty of grip as long as you get your setup right, but you'll want to lean towards a more high downforce setup, simply because of all the twists and turns you have throughout sectors 1 and 3. Sector 2, of course, it's mostly that long straight, so you want to have a little bit of straight line speed going for you, and depending on how you make your setup, you could be very powerful down that straight, but you'll be sacrificing it in the corners. So it's important to find a good balance around here to make the most optimal setup you can. As for overtaking, well, the only two real overtaking spots are along the two DRS straights, though it is possible to get alongside someone in Sector 3 and potentially make a move there. In Sector 1, after Turn 1, it is near impossible because, well, immediately after that very wide Turn 1, you immediately go into an S section, and, well, one of the most important rules of going wheel to wheel is you should never go wheel to wheel through an S section. It never goes well. Absolutely not. So really, if you want to attempt to make a move, you would have to wait and potentially make a dive bomb going to this corner just before the DRS zone, or play a little bit more patient and get a hold of that DRS to make an overtake down this very long straight. Now, as for the drivers, Prit and Yeti, I think, are going to do quite well again. Yeti managed to get on the podium yesterday in Division 1 as a reserve, and so I think he could very well be a contender for victory. Prit is not going to be underestimated either. In the previous race yesterday, showing that he was on pace. He was reserving for Ferrari, if I'm correct, before he was caught in a massive incident. It was a pretty heavy pileup. So you have a lot of drivers running through Sector 3, and honestly, this sector, it's a little bit strange. You can see the way these turns are just shaped. It's a little bit awkward almost when you first look at it. When you actually drive through, it feels very smooth, but the way, again, that it's kind of shaped is strange. Yeti crosses the line, puts himself second overall. Only a few thousandths off of Kirito, but Alan B. Crazy does well enough to beat Kirito and gets up to first overall. Z's currently fourth. Right now, Mercedes is giving a very good performance in qualifying. Oh, and that's Vaney spinning out. Oh, that's unfortunate for him. That's gonna be a lap completely ruined there. He's gonna have to go for another attempt. Cookies has validated his lap run. Meanwhile, Radioactive is getting ready to get his lap started. Well, actually, no, he's about to finish it up, but he's massively down. And now he's gonna be able to get going. You can only have Atmos making his way on an outlap going through the S section. I think its car may be a little bit slippery. Either that or it's a connection that's a little bit slippery right now. And while we have no limit on a flying lap right now, he's already a tenth and a half up in Sector 1 alone. That is going to put him within range of the top three. And if he continues at this pace, can very well take pole. But Zeech puts in an incredible lap, puts himself well half a second ahead of the rest of the field, putting himself first overall by a considerable margin. No limit, I think, could potentially contend him here. He's already 2.5 tenths up on his lap, but he's going to need to find another half a tenth in Sector 3 if he hopes to beat Zeech's time. Though at the rate he's going, oh, that's a snap of oversteer there. That is definitely lost my train of thought there. Oh, and he lost his traction as well. He just completely lost his lap there. That's unfortunate. He was on for a very good time. Meanwhile, Sebi's getting ready to cross the line. What time is he going to put in the Haas going across? He only puts himself 14th overall, just 2 thousandths ahead of Sancho. And we have Atmos running through, who I think may have set a purple Sector 1. If so, this is going to be a very strong time. It's going to be putting on the table. That very well also could have been a glitch. That's also possible. Oh, that's a bit of oversteer there. He had to correct the car. Now that is going to cost him a bit of time. And that's the Red Bull of Curly making his way into the pits behind the Mercedes. And Vaney, looks like he spun out again. He's really struggling with traction. Meanwhile, Amos is making his way through Sector 3. He's showing a lot of good control here. Question is, will he be able to put up a competitive enough time to put himself close to his teammate Kirito, who's currently third. At the moment, this lap is looking pretty solid, and it's going to be solid enough to put himself 12th overall. So it was a good lap, but there's definitely room for improvement. Meanwhile, looks like Fred has retired from the section. He retired in the pits quite early as well. I guess he figured that's the best he could do, but Sebi certainly found a lot of improvement, put himself 6th overall. Now only have Big Cheese. He's nearly a 10th down on his previous time, but it's going to be in Sector 3 where he stands to gain a lot here. And if he can... Oh! And that's a big snap of oversteer. Any progress you have to gain on that lap is now ruined. Now, honestly, in Sector 2, you aren't going to gain the most amount of time there, unless you're getting a tow. But it's truly Sector 1, and I would say even more so Sector 3, where you stand to gain the most time. And we have quite a few people going on outlaps now, getting ready for one last run, and probably leaving a little bit of room just in case they invalidate. Now, Wonder Toast does not put in a single time despite doing multiple laps, the reason being that he's serving a qualifying ban, but I will give him this, he's being clever about it, and so he's simply doing laps, but making sure that he invalidates, so he's at least getting some practice in it in the session, which, I mean... He's still technically serving the qualifying ban, but he's getting some practice in while he's at it, so not a bad strategy. And Faceberger is coming out with, looks like no limit right behind him. We do have plenty of drivers, though, getting ready to get started on one last run. And I think Yeti's doing that right now. Look at how close he's sticking to the edge of the track, really wanting to get a very wide entrance into turn 1. And that's going to give him a good amount of momentum going into this next section. Now, in the action, you want to take the first 2 turns full throttle, back off on the third, and then get back on the throttle going into the next turn. Back off again into the next corner, then back off again one more time, and then try to carry some momentum and hit the gas going into that next corner. And Vaney's making his way through. He's improved by several tenths in Sector 1 alone, but it's going to be the next 2 sectors which are going to be important for him. Fortunately for Sancho, despite finding a ton of extra time in his lap, he's just completely off the track here. Checking in on Yeti, he's found a 10th in sectors 1 and 2, with sector 3 is where he could stand to gain the most time. At the moment, though, he could at least put himself onto the front row. But will he find enough time here to potentially challenge Zeech's pole position? At the moment, no one has come close. But could Yeti perhaps pull it off? Going across the line, he puts that Alpine 2nd overall. And he did gain a lot of time, but still not close enough to get to that Mercedes. Meanwhile, Kirito looks like he was hoping to find some improvement, but hasn't validated his run. Sebi invalidated as well. No limit hasn't, though. And he's found just a little bit of time in Sector 1, but now he has the rest of the lap to complete, and we'll see if he gains enough to improve on his current position. Fred is looking to find a lot here. Well, actually, I think he already did. Unfortunately, that's going to be his last run, especially since he... oh, looks like DK crashed out behind him. He's out of the session. Running on board Vaney, he spins out, and up ahead you can see the wreckage of the McLaren of DK. Just completely lost it there. And I think Vinny may have accidentally gotten in the way of Atmos as well. Now we have Faceburger getting ready to finish up. He hasn't been able to put a ton on the board at all, so this final run is going to be important. He lost a little bit of time there, but still, could he put himself any higher than P18 going across the line? He puts himself 15th overall. Well, Sterling makes his way into the pit. Atmos, though, could he potentially find time to improve on his position, get into the top 10? Radioactive is finding a ton of time. He's found nearly 4/10 on his lap. That's going to put him into the top 4 at minimum, but could he potentially get himself higher, perhaps even on the front row? The Avatari driver is putting the pedal to the metal here, going around the final corner, crossing the line. Radioactive puts himself 3rd overall into the top 3, just a few thousandths off Yeti's time. No Limit gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. Wait, but he was already finished. He already finished his run. He's under AI. There was literally nothing he could have done there. The game penalized him while he was under AI. Wow, No Limit just got completely ruined by the game. He did absolutely nothing wrong. The game just ruined him. Well, that's unfortunate for him. He did very well to get onto that second row, but is going to have to settle for 9th after that penalty. And that's going to be the end of qualifying. Z puts in a stunning lap to take pole position. Yeti joining him on the front row. Radioactive will head up the second row with Allen joining him after No Limit's 5-place grid penalty, which he absolutely did not deserve whatsoever. And then after that, we have Sebi, Kirito, Kermit, Prid, Rogue, Cheese, DK, Curly, Atmos, Baseburger, Pappy Fred, Vaney, Sancho, Wonder Toast, and Phil Mustard rounding out the field. That was a pretty exciting qualifying, but I think the race is going to be even better, and we'll be seeing that shortly.